without talking to HFD, who's down there at the moment. But you can see certainly a very scary situation, but it looks like he is really trying to sort of aid in his own rescue. Tom, as you mentioned here, it does take his cooperation with the approach that they're taking here to try to get him out of that water. The current is rushing pretty quickly, so glad to see that he's moved a little bit away from that area with the tarp.
And you see them motioning to him. I'm certainly certain they're calling out instructions to him as to what to do. It's hard to decipher or figure out right here exactly what he is trying to do. It looks as though he's tying some of those lines around that railing. He went up to that pillar that is part of the railing and is now, either trying to tie off or maintain his hold on there, but he's only holding on, obviously, with one hand, because with the other hand, he's also trying to tie that rope around there. And again, might this be a maintenance worker or a city worker or somebody that has the brightly colored jacket on? That's a possibility.
We were questioning that because it looked like he had some kind of apparatus on or some kind of vest on. So wasn't sure if he was, even part of some of the construction project going on there along 288 or a city worker. But you really just feel for him regardless of the situation and circumstances that brought him out here, because this certainly has to be exhausting for this person.
Oh, yeah.
Out here dealing with that current and trying to really help in his own rescue here.
Yeah, and I'm not certain why he's not letting go so far. Maybe they're yelling to him to tie off or hold on until we can get some help there directly. I thought maybe they would have him let go of that railing and then float downstream and hopefully float to shore, and they could rescue him that way. But perhaps the current's just too swift, too dangerous to let him do that without some kind of flotation device on. But he does appear to be struggling now, and trying to struggle against those waters is going to zap his strength pretty quickly, as we said before.
Right, and we're kind of thinking that, perhaps whatever this vehicle is off to the left-hand side, he's associated with, we really don't know where he started. And this might be just a piece of debris that he was able to stop himself at. It also could be a vehicle or an apparatus that he was associated with before the water overtook him. And at this point, we are very hopeful that he has that flotation device on, that no matter what happens next, he will at the very least have that. But I've noticed just in the last few minutes, large pieces of debris are coming in through the bayou. So, drowning, unfortunately, is not the only danger out there. There's also the danger of getting trapped or getting knocked around by debris that may be in the water as well. And so all of those things are concerns at this point as they try to make that distance. And Tom, what would you estimate, Catherine, that distance being? Maybe 30 feet?
Maybe 30 feet, right. And as you say, there are a number of boards floating past him before, so you see some of the debris in the water. And I would say maybe 30 feet. They've got him tied off now with at least 1, 2, 3 lines that appear to be attached to his body, or he's trying to wrap him around that railing. Still trying to figure out what he is trying to do at this point.
We see a couple people there at the top of the screen also now putting vests on, which makes me question whether they may be doing another approach here, maybe even trying to go into the water, or if that was part of the plan as well, sending some of those HFD, if that is in fact the dive team there, to try to get to him instead. But we do see some people and some movement there at the top of the screen. Person there in a helmet also, so maybe they are going to attempt to try to get out there to him, and maybe that was part of the plan all along. But certainly a very detailed effort trying to get him out of this water and out of this situation. And we do know the call dropped to HFD around 7:20 this morning, so we're looking at a half an hour, but certainly longer than that before they became aware of that.
Here it goes. It looks like he's trying to get. I was wondering if there might be somebody else in that vehicle that he was talking to that they're trying to save. Here he goes. Really struggling, holding onto the lines. It appeared as though he let go of the railing. He's got both hands now. He obviously has something in his hands besides the flotation device that he's trying to bring across, whether he's trying to save some belongings. And now it appears to be wrapped around his shoulder. Yeah, and he's going back there because the current is just really, really too swift. I would hope there's no one else there. Let's see. Oh, now he lost the flotation device. That was the life preserver that the emergency workers threw out to him. You see it going downstream, now to the shore. Now you see how it floated. With that current, it floats quickly to shore. That's why I was wondering why he's still holding on, if they could have him let go and he would swing around right to shore and grab him then, but that may be too dangerous. Yeah. From our vantage point, it looks as though it might be a possibility. From their vantage point, they're probably saying no.
Well, you know, because we don't know what the circumstances are for him being there, I mean, it's possible that he has a pet with him even.
That's true. You could have a pet or somebody else.
This could have been somebody who was working.
There he goes, crawling on top of the railing now. He just really appears to be wearing some heavy clothing or a backpack on himself. It's difficult to see.
Yeah.
But he's in the middle of this bayou. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a man who's been trapped in the rising floodwaters, the fast-moving floodwaters along Brays Bayou here. This is 288 South at MacGregor, and this is our Houston TranStar camera where we're watching all of this unfold this morning for about the last, I guess, 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, we've been monitoring it for that long, and we heard from HFD that call to them came in around 7:20 this morning. They certainly responded quickly and have several people out there trying to just rescue this guy as quickly as possible. That current rushing through with all that heavy rain. So as we mentioned, you know, with situations like this can really change quickly when you see water rushing, and that's the power of water right there. Is you can get really, literally and figuratively speaking, in over your head very quickly whenever we see a lot of very heavy rain. And we saw so much heavy rain in that area earlier this morning, really not that long ago, that it could have been hard to see what was going on for this person.
Okay, let's watch now. Emergency workers are giving him instructions again. Whoever's in the red coat appears to be calling out the instructions to him, and he was telling him to, well, there's somebody else now in front of the TranStar camera. Obviously, people watching this from the sides of the bayou as well. I don't know if we can pull out or push in here and get a better shot of him. I know it's a Houston TranStar camera, and it's just a fixed camera there, but it does have the capability to zoom in and out, right, Catherine?
It does. I believe they are zoomed in as much as possible.
Okay.
We have
All right.
control over which cameras we can look at. TranStar.
Right, so Catherine is switching out her mic now. Let me just explain a little bit of what she was telling us is that, you know, we have power here at the station to go back and forth between cameras, but they are taking the action to control what things are focused on. And so my guess is that they have focused in as much as possible, because this is really a camera for the main lanes of 288. So they've swung it over, they've zoomed in as much as possible to try to give law enforcement the best view possible that's not there on the scene about what's happening, how they might be able to help, and just to keep tabs on the situation as HFD is pursuing its rescue. So at times we might be able to request something, but in a situation like this, they're really using that for emergency purposes and feel like this is the best zoomed in view. But yeah, you're right. There are probably trucks there on the scene. We can't really see how close we are to the main lanes or exactly what part of the park we are in. But at this point, they're focused very closely on that rescue.
Yeah, and we do have a crew on the way to the scene, maybe getting there, and they'll be setting up, hopefully giving you a better vantage point and a live shot of this water rescue. We don't know who this man is. We've seen this for about the last 25 minutes now. He's in the middle of Brays Bayou, just off MacGregor at the South Freeway 288. He is struggling against these fast-moving floodwaters this morning. Appears to be wearing some kind of backpack or some kind of heavy coat. They've thrown him a couple of lines. They've thrown him a life preserver. That didn't appear to work. He tried to put it on, but when the water's moving so fast, he couldn't get it on, as though that's what it appeared to be. But again, now he's a homeless person who got trapped there in the middle of these fast-rising waters.
Right. I mean, the time frame of day was really early in the morning. So this is perhaps a person that uses this route to get to work, that is down there checking on maintenance, trying to make sure that perhaps debris is clear, that the area is safe for workers to be down there. This is an area where there's a lot of construction on 288. And so there are a handful of reasons that somebody might be down there at that hour. And under those circumstances as well, because even if it's not raining, because as you mentioned, Tom, along Brays Bayou, even if it's not raining in that exact location, that area receives a lot of rain coming in off the bayou, and the conditions there can really change quite quickly. And so, you have
all that water feeding into Brays Bayou from the other tributaries.
Catherine, I believe you probably got your microphone back working once again, but you were telling us earlier that we're getting some information just trickling in from HFD They received the phone call that something was happening at around 7:20.
Around 7:20, which, really lets you know that this person could have been out here, much earlier than that. We don't know, but this has at least been going on for half an hour. So you got to know that he's tired. But this is right here. It appears to be near that hike and bike trail along Brays Bayou. So portions of that trail actually run pretty low. We don't have the exact location of this, but we do know it is obviously within range of that freeway camera at 288 and MacGregor. And they are just working as hard as they can to try to get him out of that rushing water, which is certainly higher than it was when we started out this morning because of all that rain that came through, and that's really adding to the current. Hard to tell if that water has risen a little bit. I mean, it looks like it may have, just judging by the guardrail there. But this guy is still holding on. We're trying to figure out if maybe he was part of a construction crew or out there working at some point, because it does appear that he has some kind of vest on. Maybe he was there in some official capacity where we don't have that confirmed. But what we do know is that he has been trying to work with the rescuers to get himself out of the water. And in the last 30 minutes, they've thrown out what appears to be about 3 different lines to try to get to him. Not exactly sure how they are utilizing that, but at one point they also threw out what appeared to be some kind of flotation apparatus earlier as well for him to hang on to. And I believe that did eventually go back to shore, unfortunately. But he does appear to be working to maybe tie something there at that guardrail.
He does. And this is going on now, as you said, for the better part of 30 minutes now. I'm just wondering if there isn't somebody else or something else in the car that he is trying, if that is indeed a car or a truck, inside what appears to be a vehicle covered with a tarp. I'm just wondering if there isn't somebody else or something else inside there that he's trying to save as well, or at least tie onto. We will see here in the next couple of minutes, hopefully, because it doesn't appear as though he's trying to tie himself off so that he can come across and be pulled across by the fire department crew on the other side of the river.
Right, and what we're noticing too, I mean, you can see him, he's waving his arms. They have been in rapid and lengthy communication with this individual. So that is the good part in all of this. He does appear to be alert, aware, in the condition to follow instructions.
Oh, sure.
But that, under the water conditions, that may not last for a lengthy period of time. Yeah. No telling what the water temperatures are. I know that, of course, this is summertime, but whenever you get wet,
okay, there's a member of the Houston dive team, I think, right? Going out there?
No, absolutely.
Going across, trying to swim. He's holding on to one of the lines here, and he'll make his way across. Now, I'm just wondering if there isn't somebody else again inside that maybe this person tried to go out and tried to help that person at first and then got caught in the rising floodwaters. But we should perhaps see the end of this, we hope, in the next couple of minutes, or at least get a better idea of what happened, what they're trying to do. Okay, so that, I am assuming, is a member of the Houston dive team in the water, holding onto one of those lines, and then he's there on the railing now, and you can see him struggling against the rising floodwaters. And they are still going up a little bit.
Right, they're trained for these conditions, and even more so since Harvey. They've continued to add to their resources, and that's the hard part about all of this and why their training is so important, because the water, of course, it's not like jumping into a pool. Everybody knows it's the bayou waters are murky, the temperature is off, and it's different as to what you're feeling in the outside, even on a warm summer day. All of that is working against you as you're trying to assist somebody who has no experience in a circumstance like this. And it does appear that he's trying to motion to him or show what might be going on there at that vehicle. It's also possible, too, that he just needs assistance and doesn't feel confident enough getting across on his own. But there's a lot of heavy communication going on here.
There really is. Okay, so there's a member of the dive team. Again, we're just assuming that's a member of the dive team. At least it's a member of the emergency team from the Houston Fire Department that's there on scene, trying to help this man either tie up to the ropes. He's trying to secure himself, it appears, to the railing here. And in just a couple of seconds here, we are going to go from our live stream here on our digital platforms to our live cut-in on Channel 13. So we're going to leave you just for a second here. You can actually continue to watch this, but if you want to watch this live on television as well, we'll have it in just a second here as we continue to watch this rescue, we think, of this man. And he has a harness there. Now he's giving him, so maybe he can put it around his waist and get him off of there.
And now, breaking news from ABC 13.
Morning, everyone. Tom Cook and Elisa Rivas as we take you live here to the South Freeway 288 at MacGregor, where there's a water rescue in progress. Has been for the last 35 minutes.
We have been watching this, as Tom mentioned, for the better part of a half hour, along with Catherine Whaley at this point. HFD first showing up, throwing across lines, and now what appears to be a member of the dive team making their way across. Catherine?
Yeah, so right now we're using those Houston TransStar cameras to look down onto the bayou. Pretty fast current right now. They are in the progress of trying to rescue this man who's been here for over a half an hour. They are looking to try to pull him in or assist him away from that railing. This is right here below 288 near the park here in the bike trail system near Brays Bayou, or actually in Brays Bayou. That rescue is ongoing. We've been monitoring it for you, and we will continue to stream it live on abc13.com and also on our app, so you can join us there.
All right, let's check on the latest here. This is, again, a live shot of this rescue at 288 and South MacGregor. All of this is because of all the rain that fell this morning and the swift currents that were produced by all that rain. So let's get the latest on the rain when it's finally moving out. Here's Alita Lebreska.
All right, the heaviest rain that did produce those widespread amounts of anywhere between 3 to 5 inches in the northwest parts of our county has now shifted southward, is now down over the coastline. That is where we're seeing some of those dangerous lightning strikes and gusty winds around the Lake Jackson area and Freeport. Still some lingering light to moderate rain showers ongoing for the next couple of hours. It really won't be until lunchtime where we finally start to see a little bit more of a break, but there could be some redevelopment of those showers and storms as we get into the afternoon with the heating of the day. Northwest county should be okay, but be prepared for another round of showers and storms to develop here on Tuesday. I think we'll finally start to see some drier conditions here for the second half of the week, guys.
All right, thank you, Alita. And we will go back to live streaming this at abc13.com and our news app, that water rescue. We will bring you the latest, hopefully a good conclusion to this in just a few minutes.
We'll see you back here on broadcast in a half hour, but we are continuing to do this at abc13.com and on the news apps. Join us there.
Okay. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on live streaming this. This is a water rescue right in progress right now. If you've been with us for the last 35 or 40 minutes, you see this man in the middle of Brays Bayou at the South Freeway, just off the MacGregor exit here. And there is now a member, we think, of the Houston Police Dive Department team or Fire Department dive team on the scene, trying to help this man either get to the other side or perhaps rescue someone or something in that car.
He seems to have something, we say he, we're not really totally sure it's a man, but it appears to be from his form and shape. A backpack or some kind of thing that he's carrying that he has not been able to let go of. And so all of this is coming into play. We could see a lot of rapid communication back and forth. So we do think that throughout this time they've been able to call out to him here, exchange instructions, but eventually, after about 20 minutes, they did send somebody out with the dive team, another individual as an emergency responder out to him to get him across, hopefully. We saw them raise a harness that presumably, while we were talking in the last 5 minutes, they've been able to attach to him.
Yeah, I'm just not sure why they have not allowed him to release from whatever he's holding on to. And again, it appears though both arms are free. He was straddling that railing that's in the middle of the bayou for a couple of minutes. He may still be doing that, but it appears as though he is sitting next to it, hanging on. At one point, both of his hands were free, and it didn't appear he was holding on to anything, so that led us to believe that maybe there was someone else in the car that he was trying to save there. And I don't even know if that's a vehicle. It's covered with a tarp or something like that. I don't think it's a piece of debris because it seems too big for that. But you see him now motioning back on top of that and then back inside. And you know, from my vantage point, it appears as though he's talking to someone in there. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, they're spending an awful lot of time focusing on that car or whatever it is.
Right, absolutely. And you can see that there are some news crews down there. It appears to be some people taking video. We're going to have our news crew coming up here shortly, so we'll be able to give you an additional vantage point of this. But for right now, we're watching live via our Houston TransStar cameras. This is the camera that is at 288, the South Freeway at MacGregor, usually meant for the main lanes, but in emergencies, Houston TransStar will shift these around and use them to help follow emergency calls and situations to give law enforcement and first first responders a little more information. It appears as though that with 3 lines across now, they may be trying to bring him across from where he is there in Brays Bayou to the shore.
I think he's trying to grab something or someone out of that car. He is now on the side of that vehicle. And again, we're assuming that's a vehicle that looks like that, covered with a tarp or something, that he's trying to grab something out of there. He appeared to be having a conversation, and I'm just guessing this just from our vantage point, because otherwise, why would they not have him tied on and released? They had a harness for him. So we'll see what's happening here in the next couple of minutes.
We saw him hanging on to a dark object earlier as well, so not sure what happened with that, but it does appear that he keeps interacting with that tarp, or if that is in fact a car, maybe something inside of that car. Still working to see what that object actually is. But really, watching this whole operation, truly a testament to how hard the HFD dive team and rescue team, all the workers out there work in situations like this, and they are always on high alert and ready to respond when we do see a major rain event or any sort of issue where flooding is a concern. And they got out here to this person, and they are certainly working hard with these different methods of potentially trying to get him back to shore. And it is a little hard to tell just how far that distance is between that railing and the actual shoreline, but certainly enough of a current, though, to make it really difficult to go that short distance.
All right, here we go. There's another diver coming across here, swimming against the current. Doesn't appear to be holding onto the lines. Walking, it appears, although it looked like he had either boots or flippers on there, and I didn't know if he actually had the dive gear on there. So now you have 2 members of the Houston Fire Department team over there trying to assist this person.
Right, and this gives you a good idea, just all of the speculation and the questions that we have ourselves. A lot of times first responders go into a situation and they have all of those very same questions, and they are dealing with these situations literally as the problems arise. So when they got out there, they were trying to assess the situation themselves, figure out what was happening and what was going on. And it's taking a large crew of people to get this man across. As you mentioned, Tom, I mean, it's perhaps easy enough, or you could perhaps touch the bottom there, but with the speed of that water moving, I can certainly understand how there would still be danger
Here they go.
of
They're
drowning.
pulling this man across with one of the lines, and now you have 2 members of the emergency team. We were going to see him come out of the water, hopefully. Boy, they are really struggling to get him there.
And we still don't know what that additional white package or backpack that he has is, or even what it has in it.
Nope. So you're watching this live now, and we'll see him hopefully get him out of the water. And we'll get you the details on who he is and why he was out there as soon as we get our crew on the scene. There you go. Here's this man now brought safely back to shore, struggling obviously to get out on that little bridge that's on the side of the river. And there you go, the Houston Fire Department pulling him out to safety.
And you notice these 2 first responders, they're not turning their attention back to the vehicle. So maybe that tells us perhaps that there's not anybody seriously injured, at least, or in a serious situation there in that vehicle, whatever it might have to do with the situation. It looks like one of the dive team members is coming back across, but you see how much he is pulling against the current.
Right.
It's not a quick or easy walk across, for sure.
Now they're just taking that harness off this man. Appears to be wearing a white coat or a white backpack. And let's see, all right, so they're going to pull this member of the fire department out, and then there's one more to come across. So maybe there wasn't something else in the car, but the question is, why did he hang on so long if he had the harness around him and they had somebody else out there to rescue him? But maybe that's just the situation with the water zapping his strength.
Right.
And some good news here. I mean, you can see that he is walking away. They actually had another member, apparently of HFD, walking him up, presumably to get treatment. But at least he appears to be doing okay and well enough to be walking after that big struggle against the current.
Yeah.
We see the final member of the dive team still there, and so hopefully this person just needs to make it back across to complete a day's work, so to speak. But we don't see him trying to tend to anyone else. But that just may tell you how difficult and careful they need to be in terms of getting everybody across, one individual at a time. And no word yet still too on what this large piece of debris or vehicle was off to the left-hand side. or how that played a role in all of this.
And he now appears to be tying off to that railing. I'm wondering if they're trying to secure the vehicle as well so that it doesn't float down, or whatever piece of debris that is, so it doesn't float down the bayou. We're at a loss, just like you are, if you're watching this live with us, to try and figure out on our own from this vantage point exactly what's going on with this water rescue. We do know that person was rescued and appeared to be okay as he was brought across there. And now they are tightening the lines on this Houston Fire Department emergency rescue worker. He is on top of the railing now as well. And it appears as though he's trying to tie that line off for some reason or another.
Right. You know, this is an area that has walking and biking trails, but as we know, a huge area around all of our bayous is essentially a floodplain. You know, wherever level it is at night when you go to bed could be totally different when you wake up,
got that right.
as is evidenced this morning, and that's what the bayous are there for. But we build parks and walking trails and biking trails along these areas. And as we were discussing, we're not really certain why he was down there as either as a worker, maintenance, construction, taking his dog out. But it was still dark. I mean, we've had sunshine by 6 a.m., you know, for some time now. We're in the summertime hours, but still, as we approach the 7 o'clock hour, it was very dark outside. So when this call dropped at 7:20, I'm sure that visibility and conditions were still pretty poor out there.
All right, now he's making his way down there, checking out whatever the other man was talking about before, I'm assuming, because otherwise, why wouldn't they simply pull him across? Unless he's trying to secure that vehicle with the lines that he has. Brought at least 3 ropes over, still 2 of them tethered to him. And now he's working on either tying off to the railing or tying off to that vehicle.
And that might have been the delay in the first man coming across.
It could be. Could be. We're all trying to figure it out as we watch this unfold live this morning. Thankfully, that man was rescued and appeared to be in good health. It appeared as though they took the equipment off of him and then he was taken back up the hill.
Right, you know, as Catherine mentioned, anytime you can stand up and walk away from an incident like that, you have to be encouraged by that person's condition, able to come up out of the water, but then walk over, presumably to an ambulance waiting there in the area.
Yeah, and it is really still a mystery what this object is, where we see this last member of the rescue team right there. Not even sure if this is actually a driving area, if that was a car that may have gotten somehow swept away, or if it was something that maybe just got caught up in the current either. But we do know, as Tom has mentioned, that the person who was rescued really paid a lot of attention to the car, makes you wonder, or that object makes you wonder what could have been there, what could have been inside. And now we're seeing that final rescue worker still there at that object. We have not determined what that is.
Well, and you know what I'm thinking too, that there's a lot of equipment in and around that area because of all of the construction going on. It's possible that that might have been stored nearby, or it could have been a vehicle that was in the area. And so, yeah, maybe this person went down to check on it, knowing the kind of rain we were receiving and that they had so much very expensive equipment down there. It's possible he went down there to check on it and then realized that the situation was really bad.
Right, and we've seen the debris become an issue with flooding in the past before, with that actually blocking up waterways. So that very well could be the case, but certainly still a lot of members of the rescue team still out there until this final member goes, and looks like they've released it.
Setting it loose.
Setting it loose, whatever it was. And there it is.
If that is up on a walking trail, perhaps they thought it was important to set that loose so that it wouldn't be lodged there.
Right.
I mean, we're kind of just
I don't know.
trying to make the best educated guess possible based on our knowledge of the area.
Right. And they're trying to start moving the camera now as this piece of debris, whatever it was, floats downstream. Now it doesn't appear to be a car, because I wouldn't think an automobile or a truck would be moving that fast in the current. You see all the fire department vehicles up on the road there. There are the rescuers, and now this final Houston Fire Department member of the, I'm assuming, the dive team, but rescue worker, is now making his way to the other side of the bayou, and hopefully we'll get out safely here, and then we'll try and figure out from our crew at the scene exactly what happened.
Yeah, I believe Steve Campion is probably just arriving there now. And of course, we'll get more information from him and who he speaks with there at the scene. But now that Transtar kind of zoomed out a bit, a little bit more of a perspective on where we are located. It's still a mystery what that object is that floated down. But, you know, certainly very happy to see that this person who was caught up in the middle of this floodwater is safely at shore, and those dive team members or rescue workers are back on shore as well now.
Yeah, perhaps it could have been a boat. It seems to be floating quite nicely on the Bayou waters this morning. All right, we're going to update you on our cut-in here in just about 14 minutes from now and get you the details on what this rescue is all about and perhaps who that man is. So stay with us on ABC 13.